Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin,
I'm Craig.
and we're finally finishing the Friday the 13th series review. We broke it up
Yay.
into three parts. We covered four episodes in each part, and that leaves us starting with Friday the 13th Part 9, or what's actually called Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Uh, this movie is abysmal. I let's just start off right off the bat, Craig. This movie is pretty bad. It might be the worst of the series.
I didn't fully understand what was going on
So,
because I don't know where this guy comes from talking about this mysterious
well, yeah. Besides
artifacts.
that guy, the movie starts off with what was it, the FBI or like some police force hired this actress, and she's running around, and they lead Jason to a kill zone where they just unload on him. They gun him down, and then they blow him up with some grenade launchers. And what's so funny is that when he's getting
Best part of the
shot,
movie.
he's just getting he's you just hear like it's so funny just hearing him get shot. So they blow him up. Jason is done, and this is when it gets a little weird. That this one guy shows up out of nowhere, and then he says something along the lines of only a member of Jason's bloodline can kill him because Jason isn't dead, like entirely dead. How he knows this is beyond me. He just
Well, he
shows
was on
up
the
and
X-Files. Maybe he knew about Jason from that.
I mean, I guess. But like this guy shows up and just starts saying this nonsense. He starts spewing it. And for those who are a big fan of the Friday movies, they're going to be very disappointed in the sense that Jason's not in the movie. His spirit possesses other people, and he kills other people. Not as Jason's physical form. And
Just stupid.
they find out that Jason has a living relative, which is a half sister.
Somehow.
Yeah. So Jason pretty much just absorbs other people's bodies and tries to kill her. That is the premise. It is very stupid. You could tell at this point, Craig, that they're really running out of ideas.
See, people see stuff like that. They're running out of ideas, but they're coming up with I'm not sure they're running out of ideas. Like they're just incompetent and stupid. Like who comes up with this stuff? Like there's plenty of ideas. They're just like picking the worst ones possible. Like at the beginning of the movie, they blow him up, which is funny, but then like for some reason, the guy at the morgue eats his heart,
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, and of course, the guy, the X from the X-Files has like all this information somehow that this I have to kill me. It's like a magic dagger somehow.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we know that Jason is like some kind of mystic creature, I guess you can call it, because he's undead. He's an undead person. And it's funny that he originally just started as some guy running, running around and butchering people. Now he can only be permanently killed by having a relative destroy him.
Which I don't see what the significance is. Like, why couldn't Tommy Jarvis kill him as opposed to his a relative? I mean, they might have explained it in the movie, but at the same time, like, it's not worth rewatching. It's not worth trying to like look it up. Friday 9 explained, but no, I don't care at all whatsoever. If I missed
And
it, I missed it.
there's honestly nothing really memorable about the movie. You know how at least part 8 there's he's in Manhattan for that one shot where it sweeps around. All the other bad ones at least had stuff that you could remember.
I
And
want to
aside
correct you right there. You said all the bad ones. They're all bad.
okay, well no, part 6 is good. At
Yeah.
least whatever contrarian. At least all the other ones had something that was memorable about them. And maybe you could say that the beginning is memorable because they just blow up Jason entirely. But like everything else, yeah, even the kills are tamed. And I know that the like this era of the Friday movies, like part 7, 8, 9, were really affected by the MPAA or no MPA, MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America. They
The
were really
American Motion Pictures.
whatever. I don't MPA.
No, I was thinking like dodgeball, the American Dodgeball Association of America.
Motion Picture Association, yeah. They were really like cutting down these movies because a lot of people want to see these movies for the gore and the violence, and the MPA was not having it. They cut down these movies a lot. Like it says on this one, the unrated cut is 90 minutes and the original cut is 88. So they cut out 2 minutes of violence. So the movie ends with it hinting, not really hinting, once Jason gets dragged to hell after all this nonsense that has to happen in the movie, you see his hockey mask, and then you see Freddy Krueger's hand grab the mask and sink it down to a dirt. I never really cared for Freddy Krueger, so like to someone like me, that means absolutely nothing.
I mean, I don't get, I mean, what the big deal with like these two crossing over? I mean, I feel like horror characters really shouldn't cross over. The whole point is them terrorizing like a group of young people, and having them like fight each other is kind of stupid.
Oh, we'll get to that stupid in a little bit, Craig. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess for this movie, there's really nothing. I think it's easily the worst one yet.
Yet, oh no.
I mean, the other ones were bad, but I feel like they just keep getting worse and worse.
So, with you saying that, do you want to go to Jason X? I, for one, love Jason X. It is hilarious. It is so funny. It's ridiculous, obviously.
Yeah.
They have, in 2008, it says, they're holding him in a government lab at a camp at Crystal Lake Research Facility, it says. And then he gets cryogenically frozen for 435 years.
You actually did the math.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia.
Oh.
And it's like it's so weird. Like I don't know what they were thinking when they came up with this. Like why put him in like why space?
I mean, at this point, why not, right? I mean, like, what else could you possibly do? Like, a lot of the movies are like copies of each other anyway. Like, it's him just terrorizing people in the campsite by a lake. I mean, at least have him in space terrorizing people.
That's very true.
I mean,
Well,
that's like one of my few positives. At least it's a little different visually.
well, this one movie definitely has one of the most creative kills, where he grabs this poor girl's face and then he sticks it into liquid nitrogen and then smashes her face and it crumbles into like a million pieces.
Oh yeah, it's like one of the most famous, I think, kills in the series, right?
Yeah, at least they're coming up with different ways for Jason to kill people instead of him just like hacking down counselors.
Unaware, like teenagers who like have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, so the part, Craig, that made me laugh the most is there's this cyborg woman. Her name is KM14, and once they think she shows up and she beats up Jason, and they think Jason's dead, but then all of a sudden these like nanite things attach themselves to Jason, and then it like fixes him because I believe he got messed up pretty bad. He lost some appendages and limbs.
You know, they got, Endgame got this, or Infinity War got this from Jason X, the nanomachines.
Oh God! And Jason comes back after the nanites like mold with him, and now he's called Uber Jason. And that KM girl, she runs up to him, and then he just punches her head off. Oh no, no, I'm such a liar. What was even funnier when I remember I watched it for the first time with my friends. When KM first approaches Jason, he just throws a knife at her and kills her. And that's when she gets up, and then she beats him up. It was just so funny that they hyped her up, and then he just throws a knife at her, and she just like it looked like she died. Sounds like you don't remember that.
No, I do. It's just I'm just like miserable watching these movies. Like, well, something stuff like that's like funny, but I'm just like I don't really want to. Like, these are just awful.
Well, at least
So,
Jason also sleeping bags two other people when they try to. Towards the end, they're running around and they do this sim, and then Jason sees these two women in the sim of Camp Crystal Lake,
yeah, like the holodeck.
Yeah, then it cuts and then it cuts back to our human characters doing something. Then it cuts back to Jason just beating these girls in a sleeping bag up against a tree. It is so funny, this movie.
Oh, that's like one of the positives I'll give it. Like at least it's I don't know. I don't think it was meant to be funny, but
I think at this point they definitely had an idea or they knew what they were doing.
I don't know. I mean, if they knew what they were doing, I don't think they'd make this. Did he even make any money?
No, not really. It
Yeah.
says it had a budget of 11 million to 14 million. It grossed 17 million, so that's not too good. It's also universally panned, has a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. No shock there.
I mean, it's not. I don't think, at least it's not as bad as Nine.
Well, I think 9 is definitely possibly the worst out of all of them. Maybe 8 too. But part 9 is pretty bad.
I mean, definitely one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Do you have anything else to say about this movie? Jason X?
I mean, at least it was a little different. That's really the only positive I could say. Because like again, the other ones were. I mean, he's still basically just murdering people, you know, throughout the entire movie. But at least it's in space. I mean, I know it sounds dumb to put him in space, but at least it's different. Because every other movie's a carbon copy anyway.
Craig, it doesn't just sound dumb, it is dumb.
Oh, we will that too. I'm just trying to give it a positive. Well, it's well, it could have been worse, I guess.
Yeah, I
And I
guess.
know
Oh, you go. Yeah, you go.
what was this part of the production? The reason why they had this set in the future is so like they could do a Freddy. I know it's gonna lead to the next movie, but so they could do a Freddy versus Jason crossover because they don't want to mess up the timeline of the series, which I feel like trying to fit things around a timeline is just very stupid.
I didn't even think of that.
Well,
Because it's.
isn't that true, right?
I don't know.
I thought I read that, so that's why they've had it in space. That's like another reason. Because they were planning the Freddy vs. Jason crossover. Like, well, where's this fit in the timeline?
So this happens before Jason X. Or, sorry, the Freddy vs. Jason happens before Jason X.
Yes. So I think that
Okay.
was the plan. And I feel like, beholding yourself to a Friday timeline is just incredibly stupid.
Well,
I
if we
mean,
want to
the
get.
movies barely
Yeah.
make sense already, and then there's a timeline you're trying to like follow.
If we want to get technical, the first one takes place in 1979. Like the main story, not young Jason drowning. And then I believe part 2 is 2 years after.
I don't remember. I don't really care.
Part 3 is maybe like another year. Hold on. This is important, Craig. We have to get this right. Let's see, real
Are you
quick.
sure it's important?
Oh no, I'm a liar. It's 2 months after. So part 2 is 2 months after part 1. Part 3, I think is a couple years. Because all I know is that part 4 takes place in 1984, and then 5 years later is part 6. Like there's a 5 year gap. Or no, I think part 6 takes place. Part 5 takes place in '89, and then part 6 takes place in 1990. I think
The
that's what
fact
it is.
you're really trying to figure this out is just like a waste of your time. Like just accept the fact that it's a waste of your
Nothing makes
time.
sense. Do you have any final thoughts about Jason X before we move on to the shameless other movie that follows?
Which one's that?
Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay, gotta be more specific when you say Shameless Friday movie.
Uh, I don't like this one at all, really. I mean, it's not as bad as, let's say, part 9 or 8 or even 10. But as you were alluding to earlier, Craig, them taking two horror icons and pitting them against each other is really stupid. And when they do fight each other, it's really lame. They fight each other twice. And the first time is very underwhelming. And then the second time they fight, it's very underwhelming.
Because you have like if two people who can't kill each other, it's like okay, well, or I mean, Jason could kill him, but he can't get his hands on him. So he's just like tossing Jason around, blah blah blah.
Freddy is hitting off the caps of like air containers and they're launching at him like missiles at Jason.
Yeah,
So the whole premise of this movie is that Jason's still in hell, but he can't visit people's dreams because everyone has forgotten about
you
him.
mean Freddy, right?
Oh, yes, my bad, Freddy. Yeah, my bad. And Freddy has been redacted from the public records, and even says that people who dreamed of him were institutionalized. So
Yeah, it's like some
Freddy,
conspiracy.
yeah, Freddy resurrects Jason, and he appears as his mom and coerces him into going to Elm Street and to kill people in order to create fears of Freddy so he could return, so he can gain his power back. And then there's some boring human stuff in between.
Well, yeah, like I remember, like this woman was like, "Oh my God, my mother didn't die like in a car accident." Like, oh my, like, who cares? Like, why are we wasting time on this? Like, oh, there's a conspiracy in town. Like, who cares?
So,
Who's get to the stupid fight?
have you seen A Nightmare on Elm Street?
I have years ago because I remember I went on a kick of like watching all these slasher movies, and it was like a huge regret. Like, it's when I saw the first Friday movie, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street. I forget what else I saw. I think maybe Scream. I was like, these are all terrible. I
Well,
don't know why I did this to myself.
from what you remember of A Nightmare on Elm Street, does it get to the point where everybody? Because I know the whole thing was in the movie. At least I didn't see it, but at least I know that the kids were like staying up to try to not fall asleep so Freddy couldn't get them, and then they realize that in their dreams, like they just have to like not stand up to him, but like that's how they fight him in his dreams to not give him power or something, right?
Honestly, I don't. I think they were trying. I think they brought him into the real world. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I could be completely wrong because I saw it once years ago. It was stupid.
What I
Don't
was
know why
gonna
I
ask
remember
you
it.
is, did the events like okay, so I'm assuming that they did their due diligence with this movie in terms of timeline of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Did they?
I think so because I think they were referencing the fourth one.
Okay.
I,
Okay, it says right on Wikipedia. The film is chronologically set after Freddy's dead, the final nightmare, and Jason Goes to Hell, and the last film in each franchise before the respective reboots. Okay, that's got that out of the way. Yeah, everything else is just trash in this movie. Yeah.
because the only thing I remember about the first one is Johnny Depp was in it. And I think he
He
died.
dies, yeah.
That's really all I remember because like again, stupid waste of time. I don't get why people like this stuff.
And yeah, I haven't seen this movie in a while, but I remember this guy's hallucinating when they're in one of the psychiatric hospitals. This guy is a stoner and he's high and he sees like some kind of centipede smoking with him. Do you remember that part, Craig?
Is this the Freddy vs. Jason?
Yes, it is.
No. Honestly, I'm trying to like get these movies out of my head.
Well, it's a good thing we're finishing this episode, Craig.
So like making me watch this stuff, it's like Jesus. It's maybe I don't know. Maybe like there's something wrong getting my attention, but like I'm just watching this and it's just like I I, I can't pay attention to it. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean this movie, excuse me. This movie, believe it or not, Craig, is one of the higher rated movies in the franchise.
How?
It holds a 42%,
Like
which
some more
places it
sense.
number 3 out of all the movies. Because number 1 is a 66% Friday the 13th, the original. Number 2 is Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives with a 50%. And then this movie follows with a 42.
That's sad.
Quite a critically acclaimed set of movies. Do you have any other thoughts about Freddy vs. Jason, Craig?
Oh, I guess I remember like Freddy started pouring water on him and like Jason's afraid of water and it's like, buddy, like we're 11 movies in. We're way past this. He's not afraid of water.
Yeah, he comes out of the water a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking too, I was watching this, I'm like, I don't, I've been marathoning this, and there's a good chance I've missed a lot of stuff, but I don't think I missed his fear of water.
Yeah, you know what? It feels like they pick and choose what Jason is weak to given the circumstance. Like all of a sudden it's water, even though he's undead. So why does he care about water?
Well, especially since he's been like, trapped underwater for like, I think two of the endings. I mean, I think he'd be okay by now.
Yeah. Part 6 and 7. And then part 8 he gets drowned and a kid shows up. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Uh
Which again, like
oh, yeah,
having
you go.
bad continuity wouldn't be a bad thing if the movies were at least good or, watchable. But there's like nothing redeemable about these. Like, I don't know how this has a fan base.
Well, I consider myself a fan of these movies, but all for the wrong reasons.
No, you're a fan because you like the game, not because you like the movies.
This is true. I do like part 6 though. Part 6 is pretty good. So should we just talk about the ending where again, these human characters are very stock. They're not compelling at all, and that's no surprise given that none of the characters in these movies besides Tommy Jarvis are well written, or you could root for them, or you care about them. Jason and Freddy Krueger fight each other by the lake, and the human characters blow up. It was like some not industrial area, but there's like propane tanks everywhere where they were at this by the side of this dock.
And propane accessories.
Yeah, they blow it up, and then Freddy and Jason are still fighting each other in the dock, and then Freddy starts like chopping off Freddy's arms, and Freddy stabs him. Oh no, I lied. That happens before they blow up. Then they blow up and they get sent to the water. And then the movie ends with Jason walking out of the water with Freddy's head, and then Freddy winks. So
Cool.
it even says in the Wikipedia that the winner is ambiguous.
I don't know if you're carrying the decapitated head of your enemy, I think you won.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they'd want these two to fight each other. They're not really the same. It doesn't make sense for them to fight each other.
Like
It,
another like crossover stuff, right? Like you have like Godzilla vs. King Kong. It makes sense for them to fight. At least they're similar and they can kaiju and stuff. They can fight.
yeah.
Superheroes, they kind of do the same thing. They can fight each other. It's happened all the time since they've existed. Or even like video game characters, like most things make sense. Like horror villains, like it's
Well,
one of the things that make the least
even
amount of sense.
besides the clowns they'd always hire for Alien vs Predator, that could work because they just hired the worst amount of people you could ever hire to make those movies. But like, oh, you can make it where these species don't like each other and whatnot. But
But
these,
those
yeah, you
don't feel
go.
like they're not like full horror like these guys, but they're really like slashers. I mean, they're like Alien and the Predator are much different, like much better executed than all these other
Well,
slashers. Like
this is
slashers,
yeah,
you can't because the whole point is like you're scared of this one crazy guy coming to kill you. You can't stop him unless you're the final girl.
right. But the thing also is that it's completely ridiculous for them to fight because they don't even really kill people the same way. First off, they would like never ever cross paths with each other, unless it's some ridiculous way like this movie makes out.
Also, like Fred was getting upset. He goes, Jason, you're taking my kills. Stop it! I have to kill you. It's like, yeah, like, okay, come on, like this is so stupid.
Like you woke him up, you did this. Why are you getting so mad?
Oh, he said, hold on, this is your idea.
Yeah, it's not good. You know what, Craig? You know what we should do when we finish our last movie to cover? We should rank these movies.
I,
I think you'll have so much fun doing that.
like to me, they're like maybe like a number rank. Like usually people do the tier ranking. Like I think I'm gonna put all of them in like what's the lowest tier possible.
Oh God. No, I want you to rank them numerically.
I don't remember a good chunk of them.
I'll read you a list of the titles. Don't worry.
But I know the titles. I don't remember like a lot what happened in the movies because they're all kind of samey and bad.
Which one did you just describe? I'm confused.
I said they're all the
Oh,
same
I heard you.
and bad.
I
Very,
don't think I
very
have any
bad.
final thoughts for Freddy vs. Jason. It's certainly a weird movie in the sense that it makes no sense for them to fight. It's It's just like it's not. I don't want to use the word corny, but just like when they fight each other, it's so corny.
Well, again, they it's hardly fighting. Like in the dream world, he's just tossing Jason around, but he
Yeah,
can't kill him. So it's like that's not really a fun
and
fight.
then he knocks off those air containers, whatever those things are, the propane tanks. He'd smack them, and then they'd go launching at Jason.
Yeah, like a missile,
It's just underwhelming to say the least.
which makes people pushing for the crossover like look even dumber. 'Cause it's like this is kind of what you were. I mean, we were too young at the time. Like if we were to speculate, I think we would have hit the nail on the mark. Like this is stupid. Like they can't even kill each other.
They're not alike. They can't kill each other. I just don't know why. It didn't even. It made a lot. I think it's the highest grossing movie of them all, but that's not saying much. It grossed 116.6 million off of a $30 million budget. And I guess you could say, I know the some people say like, oh, that one scene when Jason's on fire in the cornfield, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I guess it's more awesome
Yeah.
for the stunt guy, not in the context of the movie.
Whatever. It's mid.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess you could say it's better than a lot of them. Again, which is not saying much. Well, Craig, in this marathon, all good things must come to an end. We are at the last movie of the Friday the 13th movies, the most recent one, and it came out in 2009. It is a reboot. They wisely rebooted the whole franchise, and this movie's kind of bad. It came out in 2009. It is a reimagining almost of Jason and Friday the 13th. And I have a lot of issues with this movie, Craig. I'm just going to say it right off the bat.
A Friday movie is bad? Is that what you're telling me?
The script is terrible. It's a garbage script in the sense that it spends the first 20 or so minutes with these characters that are hiking and they're trying to find pot plants. And then they stumble upon,
Because they're natives in New Jersey, right?
they're clearly in Jersey. Let me fact check to make sure. I think it's the first 20 minutes.
It was a good chunk. I mean, I remember it was kind of like the second one where like they're just wasting time.
The first 20 the title of the movie appears 23 minutes and 54 seconds in the movie. Because the first couple minutes depicts they rehash Pamela Voorhees' death, which takes place in 1980, and you can barely see what's happening because of the stupid filter they have going on. Yeah, it's trash. It's just utter trash. This movie. The one thing I do like what they did is they made Jason run, which is actually kind of terrifying. Like he sprints around. He's like an actual brute in this movie.
Well, that like at least he has the tunnels underneath. I mean, which is kind of dumb, but at least it kind of explains how he gets around so fast. Because like other movies, he was just slowly walking towards you.
Yeah, he has like a subterranean system.
Which I guess when he's not murdering people, he's just building tunnels.
So the whole point of the first 20 minutes or so was to establish that Jason kills all this girl's all her friends except her, but you don't know that at the time that he doesn't kill her. He keeps her because she looks like his mom. Fast forward a couple months later, we're introduced to our I think his name is Clay. Yeah. Clay is a sister of the girl who is taken captive by Jason. So he's looking for her, and then Clay stumbles upon some college kids who are terrible, and they're like stereotypical jocks from the 2000s. I don't know what else to say, Craig. It's just not a good movie. It's the
It's
sleaziest. I will say this is the sleaziest one probably of all the Friday movies. Except I know you're going to argue the second one. I know that.
I mean, for good reason.
Yes, yes, but this one's pretty sleazy too.
I feel like I guess out of being out of the 90s, they could like, okay, guys, let's try to make up for lost time. Yeah, it's just stupid. I mean, I mean, I was trying to think of something positive to say. Like they had like the burlap sack, but it's just like whatever.
Yeah, he has a sack, and then Jason stumbles upon one guy, and then he puts on the hockey mask.
I
It's
will say,
just
like,
yeah, yeah.
I
You
feel like
go.
for a reboot, they didn't really get Jason's best look because, like, now for some reason they give him like this really long, like, creepy hair, and they give him like just like frumpy clothes. I preferred like the mechanics. I know it's like a copy of Michael Myers, but it's a good look. Like, I like the way he looks like part like 4, 5, 6 or better. Like, I don't care for like the long hair and the suit. I
And
like
this
the mechanic suit.
yeah, but this Jason is also just some guy. He's not immortal. He's not like zombie Jason.
Well, I mean, didn't he drown and come back?
Well, that's when it's like it's weird, you know? It's
Oh
like
yeah.
if you the movie establishes certain rules. You know Jason's not immortal. I don't even he gets like crushed at the end. I don't even know how to describe it. Like a chain he gets like hung or something. Oh no, he gets stabbed in the chest with a machete, and then he shows up somehow underneath the docks, and then it ends there. Kind of copying the original one, but it's a lot dumber in this one. It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, because they have to, copy the original.
Because the original one is more ambiguous if she's hallucinating and whatnot. Whatever, that's fine. But it makes no sense in this one.
I really don't think they were trying.
So the people who wrote this movie, Craig, also wrote Jason. Oh, Freddy vs. Jason. And they wrote Baywatch. So they have quite the filmography when it comes to writing.
Why Baywatch?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's to give some positives.
Is that really all they've worked on?
Yeah, a bunch of non-achievements. The music is pretty good. It's done by Steve Jablonsky, I believe. Yeah, guy who did the music for the Transformers movies. So it's a competent looking movie. It's just everything else about it is just bad. It's a terrible script it has, but it's a good looking movie if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, you see, it looks not like as cheap as the other one.
Yeah, it looks like there's actually some thought put behind some of the shots. The camera's like moving around a lot. It's just everything else. Especially the worst is it's spending 20 minutes with characters that just die immediately. I think what they should have done is not show Pamela at all in the beginning because that's like implied. You don't have to show that. You can mention that in the line or when he sees Pamela's head. I think also you you condense those 20 minutes, make it 5 minutes or something. You don't have to establish why they're camping out in that area. They could just be camping out. Start off with them, camping out.
But then I feel like it's too similar to the other movies. I mean, I know it's a reboot, but at the same time, it's like I think the exact same thing as other movies. These people just, screw around for an hour until they start dying, and then like, oh my God, someone's after us, and then yeah, then they get rid of Jason.
Well, I'm just saying for the first 20 minutes, I would condense it a lot.
Yeah, but then you have like a movie that's like barely an hour long.
Well, then you could add to other stuff too. You can add to maybe actually try to write likable characters. Gee, what a thought that is.
I just, uh, I know what you're saying, how to improve it, and you're not wrong. It's just, what's the point?
You know what I'd like? I'd like a Jason movie if Jason's a human, or the townspeople, not townspeople, but like when the heroes or whoever is getting haunted by Jason, they all get together and they're like, you know what? We're gonna stick together. We're gonna hunt him down. We outnumber him.
Jason dies tonight.
I think that would be so much better. Wouldn't that be such like a more nuanced twist?
I mean, when people do like gang up on him, though, they tend to bully him.
Exactly. It could be like the
But
video
yeah.
game.
Well, I mean, because of that, because I was thinking of where he gets blown up, where he finally gets like blown up.
Yeah, I think that'd be more exciting, intense. Imagine that has the same setting of his underground subterranean tunnels, and they go into his lair all together, all armed to the teeth, just hunting him down.
Jason dies tonight.
Except maybe the movie can end with them just like beating him unconscious and killing him instead of it ending like how Halloween Kills ends.
And do like the Friday dance where like you're dancing over his body.
The California Girls is playing in the background.
Yeah, I mean, literally anything would be better, but
Yeah, this
mm,
movie just screams like 2000s. Especially when I was watching it, it felt dated. Like the
it barely came out 10
soundtrack,
years
it
ago.
was like literally Madden 10 soundtrack.
I mean, with these kind of movies, I've expected basically like bomb of the barrel stuff. Like, like they're just trash.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, it's not good, Craig. I'm just gonna say it, it's not good.
Are you sure about that?
And it's kind of a shame that this is the last movie, indefinitely, because there's the whole lawsuit going on still, or maybe it ended. I don't know. But this is the most recent Friday the 13th movie, and I think it was the right decision to reboot it because the timeline, or at least the original timeline, is a complete mess. It is a disaster. They shouldn't have, in some instances, played so close to the original movie, or at least the original second movie.
I mean, but I feel like I guess it's like a reboot, so you kind of want to like get some of the stuff. I feel like if they just brought in Tommy Jarvis, that would have been better.
I don't think
Because
they would have had to bring back a young Tommy Jarvis, though.
if you're doing a reboot, like he's the most famous human.
That's true. He technically beats Jason 3 times.
Because like all these other people, it's like who cares about these like random strangers? I want to see Tommy Jarvis.
Jason's alive and he's out there and he's killing my friends.
Well, that's what people talk about. Like, people always talk about like the fourth and the sixth one are one of the best ones, and guess who's in it?
Tommy
Tommy
Jarvis.
Jarvis. I mean, it's
That's
not just
true.
because he's in it, but he's like an actual, like especially the sixth one, he's an active protagonist.
Yes, I mean we I don't want to rehash that, but the reason why, and we talked about this, the sixth one was the best, is because not only was Tommy directly involved with the plot, but he was like actively trying to do something. He had a goal in the movie. You
It
could
made
follow
sense.
his goal. You know why he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah, it made sense. Yeah, like why he wanted to go after Jason because he ruined his life in a way.
Yeah, I mean he did. He Jason killed his mom. He traumatized him. He's suffering at a mental institution in part five. Yeah, screw Jason. But these movies don't have that. Like, it's not that hard to have a protagonist who can take control of everybody and they have a direct goal. Like it's like basic things to do in a screenplay. It's basic.
Well, that's why it's always so weird. Like all these movies, like they don't seem to learn from their mistakes. Where it's like, could you just stop having people, just keep getting like killed and no one knowing what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. This is not a good movie. I have a feeling you think that too, Craig, right? Don't want to speak
Of, cou-
for you.
of course, it's a terrible movie.
Well, Craig, now that we got through all that, do you want to quickly rank the movies?
I have to like, well, like, did you hate me?
We
Like
will be
maybe
done with Friday forever, Craig.
maybe watch these movies and have to like, think about ranking them.
I'll go first. How about that? To make it easier for you.
All right.
I'd go part six is number one for me. It is objectively the best Friday movie.
You say part
Probably,
one?
I said part six is the
Okay.
best one. That's number one.
Hearing
Number
things.
two would be maybe Friday the 13th, the final chapter. That's like a typical Jason movie. Maybe number three for me would be Jason X. I talked about it a little earlier ago. It is a very silly, unintentionally funny movie. Then, so that's three. Maybe four would be the original. I don't really like the original a lot, but it's at least better than some of the other ones. Then maybe number five is part two. Besides that creepy scene that they had in it, Craig, I know how much you hate that.
Which one?
in part two with the underage girl.
Yeah, but there's also like tons of sleaze in it.
Oh yeah. Maybe part three for my number six, and then
Does it even matter?
yeah, then maybe oh god, they're all so bad. Oh god, maybe Freddy vs. Jason after that for seven, and then I would put for number eight. Did I already say part three? I think I
I,
did.
I think so.
Maybe for eight, I'd put the reboot. Oh god, it's then for nine, I'd put part seven, the New Blood with the psychic girl. That was pretty bad. 10, I would put a new beginning. 11, I would put part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. And 12 is the Final Friday part 9. That is the worst movie. Worst Friday movie, Craig. There we go. I did it. You can do it.
I want to do like tiered rankings.
That's too easy, Craig. You're going to put them all in F. Maybe one
Well,
in C.
well, no, like so like part six is the best one, and then like the tier below them would be like part four, I guess part like one, two, three, four, like the tier below it,
Okay, that's
and like
fair.
five and seven, and then the rest.
The rest. Okay, so what do you think is the worst Friday movie? And then we'll end it there. What do you think is the worst one?
I mean, I guess I have to agree with part nine because that was the only one where I was like, okay, like this is like I feel like I'm like my brain cells are like committing suicide. Like there's just it was so stupid. Nothing made sense. Not that they're known for like making sense, but I feel like it was just so detached from like everything else. Because even like part 10, Jason gets frozen and now he's in the future, whatever. Easy to follow. Now this random guy from the X-Files saying, yo, yeah, only in Voorhees can kill Jason. Like, since when? Like, am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean, according to Rotten Tomatoes, the worst one is part three, but I think part nine is easily the worst. It is just nonsensical. They mess up all the things that are like the layups to get for these movies. Like I guess you can have Jason, show Jason, all the fanboys like that. They don't even do that really. It's the bare minimum that they couldn't even do.
Stupid.
Well, Craig, we finally finished the Friday the 13th movies, so you can expunge these movies from your brain.
Already working on it.
I don't know what else to say. We finally did it, Craig. It took us like a month to review all these movies because we kept on wanting to talk about certain other things in between, but we're finally done.
Oh, it was on purpose. I didn't. I was hoping we would just not finish this.
Well, no, we have to finish it. We said we would. We're finally done, and I'm so relieved because I don't want to watch these movies ever again, except maybe part six, because that's like I said, I like that one. But Craig, do you have any other final thoughts about the Friday the 13th movie franchise before we close the chapter or close the book on this chapter?
Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I really don't understand the obsession with this series or like most horror series in general. Like, most horror series are terrible. Like, the not Friday, like they were on Elm Street. Most of them are terrible. Scream, most of them are terrible. I don't know other like horror franchise, but most of them are terrible. Like, I don't get the obsession
Well,
with like these horror
you don't like
franchises.
the slashing and the gore
I don't. But
and the
even besides
terror.
that, they're terrible. Like people can like talk bad about, like maybe the Marvel movies, but at least they're watchable.
All right, some of them are, all right?
Well, mo most of them, like I wouldn't call for these horror movies, you get maybe the first one's good, and they're all downhill. Like at least you could say with the Marvel movies, well, most are watchable, most are good and entertaining. Like I'm not gonna like regret watching this like I do with Friday the 13th.
That's very fair.
I don't know. It's like I just don't know how you could be a fan of this stuff. It's like when people say like they're fans of like the Sonic games. Most are trash, but like why are you a fan of them?
Well, that's going to stir some controversy, Craig.
It's true. Most people know most of them are terrible. Like don't tell me with a straight face you think Sonic 06 is good.
Well, that one's notorious for being bad.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a good chunk of those games are like that.
Well, with all that being said, we finally finished Friday movie. I don't know what our next episode will be, but it definitely won't be anything Friday related.
My God,
So, with that being said, we have been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I am Colin,
I'm free.
and we will see you next time.